Count Corder for choosing this topic. I think it shows the importance when 4 deputies from the county have chosen this to be a topical issue. I must admit to being quite angered by the decision by the CER to produce a report after a discussion took place in the week leading up to Christmas, whereby the Minister sitting opposite me, the Taoiseach, and myself and Minister Deenahan met with Hess in the Taoiseach's office. And it was discussed at length that there could be further steps taken in order to resolve this matter. 2 issues were identified. First of all, that they could sit down at a table and eyeball each other to come up with a solution for this. And the second thing that was to be done, or looked at being done, was whether or not the complaint that had been made to the EU Commission would be suspended until such a time as a consultation process had been suspended. Fortunately, neither of these happened, and a report was issued last week by the CER, which ultimately determines a framework upon which all further decisions will be made in relation to whether or not this project will go ahead. I come from a county and a constituency which has enormous unemployment, and this is a project. We talk about export growth. You're looking at the bones of $1 billion being brought into the country, up to 700 jobs being created, and as one report which is often condemned in this House, the McCarthy report, points out, it's fuel security. And it's not apples and oranges in terms of the economics of supply and demand. But what it does state out is that if you increase the supply of energy to the country, you should be able to lower the price. I do fully recognise that there is an interconnector between Ireland and the UK, which supplies 95% of our gas at the moment, at a cost of 50 million per year that must be incurred. And I haven't seen solutions put forward by either Hess or the regulator that tell me that this can be resolved just yet. But it needs to be done in an open and transparent manner. There was a deadline put forward of the 17th of March that people could finalise talks on this. It is imperative that the regulator is brought into this House, into the committee. I have made suggestions to my party members that they bring them to the committee, and he has to explain himself why he'd bring out a report which would prefix the framework and ultimately could stop this project going ahead. It is essential, Minister, that this is looked at with great consideration, as it has a great deal to benefit North Kerry, the county and the country also.
Thank you, Deputy. Thank you to the 4 deputies for giving me the opportunity again to address the members of the House on what is a very important issue. I have consistently, Last Concordia, welcomed the proposal by Shannon LNG to construct an LNG terminal in Neilbarry-Longford in County Kerry. Such a facility, together with the bringing onshore of Corrib gas, would provide important additional security of gas supply for Ireland. I met the promoters of the project soon after taking office last year, and both my department and the Commission for Energy Regulation are in regular contact with Shannon LNG. Most recently, the Taoiseach, myself, Minister Deenahan and Deputy Arthur Spring met with Shannon LNG on the 21st of December last. The meeting was a timely opportunity to review the state of play in relation to the project and to underline the government's very positive interest in the potential investment. The meeting also discussed the central concern of Shannon LNG, which is to obtain regulatory certainty at the earliest opportunity in relation to the future pricing and treatment of Ireland's 2 gas interconnectors. Together with all players and potential players in Ireland's gas market, Shannon LNG has a key commercial interest in the outcome of the regulator's ultimate decision on this very complex regulatory question, and given the complexities, there are many differing perspectives on what the decision should be. The regulator itself has been engaged in an extensive consultation process on this issue over the last number of months and has had considerable interaction with Shannon LNG itself, as well as with all the key stakeholders. In line with the stated need for all interested parties, including Shannon LNG, to have clarity and certainty on the future regulatory regime as soon as possible, the regulator has originally signalled that it would come to a decision last autumn. The process, unfortunately, was delayed by Shannon LNG's own decision to lodge a number of complaints with the European Commission. This further delay in the process was discussed with Shannon LNG at the meeting on the 21st of December, as was Shannon LNG's own particular perspective on the regulatory issues for discussion by the regulator. I want to remind the House that decisions on the regulatory treatment of the gas interconnectors and tariffing are statutorily a matter for the regulator under the Gas Interim Regulation Act of 2002. I have no function in the matter. The regulator, as the independent energy regulator, has a remit to protect energy consumers, ensure security of supply and support competitiveness. It also has a duty to ensure that new sources of gas for the Irish market do not result in unwarranted increases in the price of gas to business and domestic consumers. I understand that on the 17th of February, the regulator published a proposed decision paper, which would be their normal way of going about something like this, on the regulatory treatment of the gas interconnectors. The regulator has announced that it intends to hold one further public forum for stakeholders on the 1st of March. And given the multiplicity of perspectives on this matter, I'm sure that all stakeholders, including Shannon LNG, having asked for such a forum, will welcome it. In tandem, stakeholders have the opportunity to respond to the regulator by March 16 on the matters raised in the proposed decision paper. At the end of this period, the regulator will assess all comments received and publish a final decision. I understand that the regulator expects a final decision to be available by the end of April, and I would hope, Las Concordia, that the regulator would improve on the end of April. The regulator's final decision will bring the regulatory certainty which Shannon LNG has repeatedly sought. Concordia, I thank the deputies, and I share their concern to grow employment in Kerry. But essentially what Deputy Griffin is asking me, and the other deputies seem to concur, is to ignore the statute. Perhaps the House should take greater care when passing a law like this. But the House passed the law, and Deputy Brendan Griffin is asking me to break the law. I can't do that. But within the constraints imposed on me by the law, I have done everything that is humanly possible to mediate the earliest possible outcome to this particular issue. We would have had an outcome, as promised by the regulator last autumn. But the company, for reasons that they explained at our meeting of the 21st of December, decided to appeal to Europe against a decision that wasn't yet made, and as a result disabled the issuing of a decision last autumn. Now, you know, the LNG at our meeting on the 21st of December, where the Taoiseach, Minister Deenahan, myself and Deputy Spring met with the promoters and the American representative, they asked for a forum, Concordia, and they're getting a forum. And it's normal practice that for the regulator to publish this kind of paper in advance and let the stakeholders go along to that forum for however so long it lasts and let them effect the changes in it that are deemed sensible. But I think it's important, Concordia, to say, you know, that under the regulatory regime, once utilisation of the interconnector decreases because of new sources of supply, the price per unit of gas transported through the interconnector will increase. So in addition to its consumer protection remit, the regulator also has a competitiveness and a security of supply remit. And it's important for all stakeholders that whatever regime is put in place for the interconnectors, that it should be fit for purpose. In other words, there was a huge investment by the state in the interconnectors between here and the neighbouring island, Concordia. And we can't strand those assets. They have to be remunerated. And in the final sentence, and its final sentence, Concordia, in the executive summary of the paper published by the regulator has concluded, and I'm quoting, that the current regulatory treatment of the Bord Gáis Éireann gas interconnectors with Great Britain will no longer be fit for purpose when new sources of gas come on stream. They're referring to the Corrib and to the LNG project. If the system remains unchanged, it will result in significantly higher gas tariffs to all gas customers and will distort efficient economic signals for the future use of the transmission system. So that's their job, is to address those issues. And it's the task of LNG and others interested to to go along to the forum and to influence the ultimate decision. This is a draft decision, that's all. And, I understand the concern in Kerry for jobs and so on, and this issue is whipped up every so often, but I can assure them that it's for no lack of involvement. I have pushed the law out as far as the boundaries of the law permit, and Minister Deanahan is interested in it, Deputy Spring is interested in it, Deputy Griffin, Deputy Ferris and Deputy Fleming. I understand that, but I'm constrained in how far I can go, and I hope that this time the regulator will be permitted to do its job and bring the issue to finality.
Thank you.